All right. As far as injuries go, Khalil Mack has a sprained foot. He was able to finish, and then Iggy has a right hamstring strain, and he was not able to finish. You know, simple fact of the matter is that the way these games go like this, there's the anticipation of the way things go, and I obviously, as a head coach, did not do a good enough job of getting this offense ready to go to be able to play and win a football game. So it starts with me, it ends with me. And it's as simple as that. I appreciate the fight from our defense. I think that they fought their tails off the entire game. They kept us in it. As much as we were struggling, they kept us in it against a good football team. And I also want to credit Cleveland. Coach Stefanski does a great job. Their coaches do a great job. Their players are, a lot of good players on that team. So that's that part. And saying that it starts and ends with me is something that I take to heart, and I know that for our guys that are in that locker room and for our coaches, that's going to be the next challenge is moving forward and getting ready to play Detroit next week. So this is not how we wanted it to go. You almost can't even make it up. It's that bad. But we got to get to the film, and we got to make sure that we're hard on ourselves and we understand the whys, and really just go from there.
Coach, obviously we're struggling offensively even from the start. But I thought you guys were right into it until that last offensive drive of the first half. How big was that sequence when it started with the false start, kills that drive, and then you go down and give up 7?
Yeah, again, offensively, we get to a 3rd and 1, and we have a false start. There's a theme there, and that starts with me. I'm obviously not doing a good enough job of making sure that those guys are prepared in those situations. We didn't convert then. And so you go back to 3rd and 6, and then we don't convert. And I think that's in those moments you got to take advantage of that. And it just was we weren't able to get in a rhythm. They did a good job of getting first downs, but our defense did a good job of holding them, whether it was the 2 fourth down stops and the sacks, or whether it was just being able to do enough to keep us in it. So in the end, there was no rhythm. That they're going to present different looks to a rookie quarterback and do different things. And again, I credit them for that. But I think that Justin handled everything really well. I think he did a really good job of staying calm and composed with the sacks that he took. He never once got frustrated or angry. I thought he did. I mean, that's tough in that situation, and I'm proud of him for that.
At first glance, were the sacks more just them beating you guys straight up, or was he pulling the ball a little too long?
I don't know, Jeff. I'm going to go back and take a look at it, and I think this is one of those ones where when you want to go back and see, we get on the plane and start watching the film to see the why, what that is, but. Really, when it's at this point, with the limited amount of yards, yards that you had on offense, and the limited amount of plays and limited amount of points, we got to get to the bottom of it, and so we'll look at that and see. But it starts with me.
When you say it starts with you, and you say you didn't do a good job getting the team ready, are you talking about the game plan, the scheme?
Just everything. I think everything that goes into it, whether it's whether it's the scheme, whether it's just making sure guys are ready and locked in, and just the execution part, and when you struggle like we did today offensively, that's what I believe. I really believe that, and I think that our guys were fighting. I think they were trying hard. I think their effort was there, but in the end, there's a responsibility and an accountability to make sure that you have your guys ready in this moment, right? In this type of game, when you have Justin coming in here, and that's what I believe.
Now, game plan-wise, it seemed like there was an effort to keep Justin in the pocket, and there weren't a whole lot of heavy protections, some 5-man in there. What did you expect to happen?
Well, we again, without getting into too much scheme, we know what we wanted to do and what we were going to try to do. They did too. They know as well, and so there's some parts that you got to be able to adjust. If they're going to try to take something away that they think he does well, then you got to be able to adjust too. So that's where when we get back to it and we watch the tape, we'll see exactly where we went wrong and why. And then ultimately, again, in the end, it's my job to make sure that why part gets fixed, because I feel like right now, where our defense, the way they're fighting against a good team like today, they gave us an opportunity to be in there to win the game, and then we just didn't do enough.
Now, when you saw how much heat Justin was taking, did the game plan allow for you to alter it right then and there and get him out of the pocket, get him away from harm's way, and give him a better chance to?
Yeah, again, we know where we're at with that, and there's again things that they were not going to allow him to do, and without getting in the scheme, there's things that were going to be a little bit more difficult. And again, you got to give credit to those edge rushers that they got. They're long. I told you at the beginning of the week, they're like basketball players. They're long and fast and strong, and so getting to the edge sometimes isn't as easy as what you think. So now you got to be able to adjust to that, and that's where you got to be able to do like you guys are saying too. You want to be able to help out with the tackles and do different things, but it's as simple as trying to do that too with the quick game as well.
Now, how do you make sure that this game doesn't damage his development?
Yeah, that's watching the tape and seeing the whys. It's not going to damage his development because I know who he is and how he, like on the sideline, how he was. I think when he watches this and sees, let's see as we go through it, what the whys are, whether it's a protection or whether it's a timing element, right? Whether it's something in the run game, whatever it is, let's use this to try to help you get better and see where things are. And he's very coachable, he cares, and I think that he'll definitely do that.
Now, you talked about you wanted Justin to be comfortable because you were building the call sheet for the week and things he likes, things you guys like. Where was the disconnect maybe before the week leading up or just during the game? Obviously, I know comfortable, but like he just didn't seem to work.
Yeah, no, well, we go through, we always go through it at the end of the week, and you go through the plays and you're where you feel, but then you never know too, like how the game's going to go. And that's where, whether it's the run game, whether it's play actions, whether it's movements, whether it's screens, whether it's drop back, third down, where are you at and how are you protecting, all of that comes into play, and you got to be able to adjust to that and make adjustments. And this is his first time going through that. So I think for all of us, what makes it hard and difficult is just such the lack of production in the numbers, right? That makes it hard. And when you have 9 sacks, that's frustrating and that's difficult. But in the end, there's a learning process for him, and what he's going to get from us as coaches and what he's going to get from his teammates, including the quarterbacks, is positivity to help him. And again, like that starts with me. So we're going to get back to it and right away and figure out the whys and move forward.
Did Justin get dinged up at the end of the game though?
Yeah, I think he might have dinged his hand up a little bit. I don't know a whole lot of the details, but yeah, I think he might have dinged it up a little bit.
Coach, how do you guys handle this differently internally? From what we see externally, when Roquan comes out here and he says the lack of sustainability on offense has nothing to do with the way the defense performs in the second half in terms of missed tackling and things like that. But when you come out here and you say it's your fault that a veteran offensive lineman false starts on 3rd and 1, does that in any way prevent you from being able to identify what the issue is and then correct it?
So the correction part, when you look at, I look at it from the defensive side, is I say, because there's a feel on that sideline, right? I know this, when you're getting those stops on 4th down, they're going for it and you're getting sacks, there's a juice on the sideline, there's an energy, there's a vibe. And then to not be able to take advantage of that is the part where you feel like, okay, that can't happen. And then when it kept happening on offense and we weren't getting first downs or weren't getting touchdowns and they kept getting stops, in the end, you get into that 3rd, 4th quarter, really the 4th quarter, it just wears you down. And that's where that 4-minute offense for them, they're built, when they get that lead like that with those running backs and that line that they have, they're built for that 4-minute. And it's hard. It's not easy. But that defense, those guys fought really tough, hard today. And, that's where I think, like, as a team, I know the offensive guys care. I know they're going to get right back to the drawing board and figure out why. And then same thing with the coaches. But, with me, it's going to start there, and I'm going to make sure that this gets fixed.
And on your second field goal, it looked like Justin wanted to stay on the field there. Did you consider going for that 4th?
Thought about it, but at that point too, the points were hard, and to be able to get that back to a 1-score game was the why part. To come out of there with nothing would have been a little bit deflating, and so if it was probably a little less than that, I think it was like 4th and 2. If it was a little less, might have been a little different. But I do like the fact that he wants to be aggressive, but we got to be smart too.
Is it on the table to make changes personnel-wise on the offensive line this week, or are you committed to these 5?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into any of that as far as, because we got to look into everything, but it's not on the table. For us, it's just about making sure that we do this thing together. You know, those guys, they care and they understand what's going on, and you know, they're going to hold themselves accountable. They'll see what that's all about. But for us, you know, I'm going to be very anxious to get into that why, and really just see for myself too where it's at with me.
Did
Matt,
that
when
real
you
have
have
to
a-
convince you guys to go back in? I know when he came back from the locker room, he kind of missed a couple of series still, like he was trying to get a blood flow or something in his foot. How did that all play out with him getting back in there?
I don't know. I'll find out more from Andre. I don't know the details of that.
But did you think he was going to go back in?
From what I was being told, yeah, I think he was good to go back in there. So that was good.
Two more.
Matt, you've had bad games before and have recovered, but how much is this an eye opener?
Say that again.
I said you've had bad games before and come back from, but how
Right.
much is this an eye opener for you as far as questioning what you're doing and whether what you're doing is working big picture? Or
Right.
if you maybe have to make bigger adjustments than even you thought.
Well,
to get it on the right track.
You know, when you look at games like this, the competitor in you. I mean, this is hard to do with these numbers, right? To where we're at offensively. So the competitor in you. It gets frustrated, you know, but at the same point in time, I think that's probably one of my greatest strengths is my care and my want to get this thing fixed. And so we got to rebound back and staying positive with the coaches and the players. Again, when you have guys that do care and you have guys that want to get better, they do it for each other. They don't do it for themselves, and that's where I'm going to come from this thing from, you know, and understand that. That we get to play another game next Sunday against a division opponent. And when we get back to the facility there at Hallis Hall, get to the whys and then fix it and move on.
Matt, are you proceeding as though Justin's the starter next week?
Again, I'm not. I have no idea where all that stuff's at. There's just too much stuff going on between with Andy, you know. So I'm not into that right now.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.